So welcome 2K fans to the 14th edition of NBA 2K16 News with your host, Shakedown 2012. So, Ronnie 2K and Chris Manning hosted a podcast and they discussed a whole bunch of different things that are going on with NBA 2K16 in terms of balance and how they plan on balancing the cheese. Before we get into that, they did mention that there's going to be a My Career decision tree, or some decisions that you'll have to make, dealing with agents, family, teammates. And my question was, will there be multiple endings or courses that you can take, throughout your My Career experience? Will I not only want to, but would I have to play through the storyline more than once in order to get the complete story? The main focal point of that podcast was all about balance. And I'm going to kind of go through some of the things that they talked about. Ronnie spoke of once-in-a-generation type of players. He also said several times that guys like Kevin Durant, who's 6'11" to 7 foot tall, or guys like Magic Johnson, who was a 6'8" point guard, he said they can do anything. And later he corrected himself by saying that even if you're a once-in-a-generation type of player, you still can't do everything. That's true. Those players cannot do everything or anything. They had weaknesses. Kevin Durant is tall and lanky, but he's not strong. We all saw how he couldn't even back down Chris Paul in Game 4 versus the Clippers last year. Chris Paul technically locked him down because one of Durant's can't do everything weaknesses is his lack of strength. He's also nowhere near as fast or as agile as a Chris Paul on the break. Magic Johnson, though he was very tall for his position, was also very sluggish, at chasing down or even guarding little guys one-on-one. Magic was never a can-do-anything shooter. Magic wasn't known for his shooting. Magic used his size as an advantage against smaller guards, but he had very moderate to poor actual ball handling capability. And I'm not talking about his ability to orchestrate on the court. I'm just talking about breaking ankles like Kyrie Irving or something. It wasn't heard of for a player his size to be able to do something like that. So to say that they can do anything, or to even believe they can do everything, is just crazy. There's a lot of you guys that kind of believe that there's these players that have no weaknesses. Even LeBron James had tons of weaknesses especially throughout the early stages of his career. But, the list goes on. You can throw any player at me and I'll tell you what his weaknesses are or what his weaknesses were. Weaknesses are what make us human. And in 2K16, if you want to simulate human beings, you have to give them weaknesses. So I'm proud to report, with a bit of reservation though, that the dev team put some limitations on how you can craft your player. For example, point guards. You can only make them between 5'7" to 6'7". Shooting guards, 5'10" to 6'8". Small forwards, 6'3" to 6'10". Power forwards, 6'5" to 7 foot. Centers that are 6'8" to 7'3". And they said they wanted to give you a general average because there were some guys that were shorter than 5'7", or some guys that were taller than 7'3". And it makes sense. You don't want to make some ridiculous, monstrosity or some kind of underprivileged player out there on the basketball court just to be funny. Some of the other things they mentioned was, depending on your style and height, if you're small or you're tall, your attributes will fluctuate. They're going to basically be limited in certain areas. One of the things I heard Ronnie say was that a 6'7" point guard would be one of the slower point guards in the game, which, sort of makes sense. They also said that there's 3 scoring styles: inside, outside, and balanced. That these are supposed to determine the caps alongside your height, and I'm hoping that they were going to mention something about weight and balancing in there as well. My question is, what about defense? I thought inside, outside, and balance was cool, but what about defense? There's a lot of players that were just known for being great defensive players with average offensive skills. So I kind of was wondering why they didn't import defense into there. Maybe defense, everybody can just play defense, right? Eventually everybody's going to block shots and steal the ball, so there might be some defense cheese this year. I also heard Chris mention while joking that sim players don't want the cheese, or they'll eat it all up or something like that. It was kind of funny to hear him say that. I personally think that sim players are past not wanting the cheese. We of course we don't want the cheese. I think sim players just want the game to play as realistic as it looks. If you're gonna simulate the NBA, then you have to simulate realistic basketball. And I know some of you guys are in the comments thinking,
"Oh, it's a video game. I just wanted to play fun."
Well, you know, they got options for that. You got NBA Jam, you got all kinds of fun arcade games out there, and you got arcade modes built into a sim game with NBA 2K. So guys like that will still have, you know, the things that they're looking forward to. I also heard Ronnie say that this time we've been strict. My question is, does this cap on your attributes translate to a cap on your animations? You know, he said centers won't have great handles. I just want to know if they'll even have access to great animations, because it wasn't really just the attributes that gave people the cheese last year and the height. It was the animations. Sure, the dribble rating can be low, but if they can still pick, for example, behind the back number 14, then who cares? You know, I just want to know that the animations have been restricted. In 2K15, it wasn't just the size that killed the game in terms of the online multiplayer aspects. It was the access to unrealistic animations that these 7-foot cheese balls had. They could not only dribble like Kyrie with sham gods and killer crossovers, but they could also shoot like Steph Curry with lightning fast quick releases. And you guys know what I'm talking about. How does the new height and attribute restrictions translate to animation choices? If you guys remember, as a point guard, I couldn't choose the big man dunk packages, you know, in NBA 2K15. So, I mean, it would be kind of crazy to see a 7'2" center still doing the Jamal Crawford shake and bake crossovers. I mean, come on. I just want to know if that's been, you know, put into consideration. I just don't want you guys to think that you're, you know, cutting the cheese with a pair of scissors, when in reality you're just blowing stench out of your butt cheeks. If you don't want 2K16's online experience to stink, limit player animation choices per position. You know, that is what I wanted to hear, and I didn't hear that. You know, seeing Chris Manning cut the cheese metaphorically was funny, but let's be honest. This is the 2K community. We always, and I say we because I'm just including myself, but you know, you guys always find something to cheese with. NBA 2K10, if I remember, there was a drop step cheese where you just get in the paint, post up, drop step, and dunk on somebody. 2K11 was the up and under cheese, and then people still spamming in the backcourt. And then you had 2K12 was the Euro step cheese where you just Euro step your way into the lane. Of course, that wasn't necessarily online with an online experience the way we have it now, but you could still play head to head and Euro step people to death. NBA 2K13, it was the fadeaway threes in the corner, amongst other things, and 2K14, you know, started this new wave of cheese where the steel spam cheese and the zigzag cheese. And of course, NBA 2K15, you had everything under the sun, plus a demigod glitch. And don't let me get started on the history of glitches. So a couple of takeaways. You know, they say they're trying to create this ultimate basketball simulation. That's phenomenal, and it sounds awesome. I'm just a little bit reserved in terms of the cheese. Another great thing is that Mike Wang mentioned many times that he could always come in post-patch and fix issues. You know, I just hope that they don't give up on us 6 months down the road, you know, to go work on 2K17 and just leave us to the wind, to the wolves. They do this every year. They put in one last patch, and they have to go work on the next game, and we're stuck dealing with demigods for the rest of the year. You know, give us 5 months instead of 5 weeks. That's all I'm asking, please. I do like that there are my player creation caps, you know, height and attribute restrictions. This all sounds awesome. I'm excited about that. And after playing the game, it really does feel like you're never really locked into an animation. The physics are phenomenal. I'm really excited about the game. I just want more clarification in terms of the animation cheese, because that was that was kind of the root of the majority of the problems. It wasn't just that he was 7 feet. It was the fact that he was 7 feet and he could actually pull off an animation that was unrealistic. You know, hit me back with that information. You know, that would be a more clarifying response to the situation we dealt with in NBA 2K15. And I know, you know, these guys, Ronnie and Chris, they're not on the court as much as we are, but those are the answers I wanted to know. If I had a chance, yesterday I was out buying furniture for my new studio and putting together my new room for you guys so we can really bang out the vids. So I didn't get a chance to kind of, you know, chime in and put my 2 cents in, but I'm doing it right now. So anyway, if you guys thought this video was entertaining, if you thought it was informative, smack that like tab to show your support. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll definitely be back with some more NBA 2K16 news for you guys later. follow me on Twitter if you want to hear me kick some more of the actual factuals to you.